Hello there, and welcome along to Season 2 and Episode 10 of the Gardener Ben podcast. Now, for the first time in my podcast history, I'm going to suggest you don't go out and actually do some gardening. I'm going to suggest you go outside and just enjoy the beautiful spring sunshine we've been enjoying over the last couple of weeks. It's set to continue for the next 10 days or so, and the garden really is springing into life. All of the work that you put into planting your bulbs last September, October and November is now coming to fruition, so get outside and make sure that you enjoy your displays. In my garden, I've been enjoying some really beautiful tulips, and with this warm, dry spring weather, they've really done very well. Reaching tall and straight, the stems are utterly perfect, and it's an absolute joy watching them open and close with the sunshine. Being enjoyed by the early flying pollinators, they're bringing a really lovely splash of colour to the garden. There's so many more to come over the weeks and months ahead, and I've been very clever to make sure that I've planted them into pairs, an early and a late flowering variety, to make sure that all of my pots look as good for as long as possible before I have to start thinking about replacing them probably by the end of May with some summer flowering bedding for the coming weeks and months ahead. One of the jobs that you can get out into the garden and do is to actually lift and divide any herbaceous perennials that you want to replicate in the garden. For instance, if any of your clumps have got too large and you want to divide them up to make them a little more manageable, now that they're actively growing and the soil is warming, it is the perfect time to get out and divide them. Now, I don't suggest you do this job as people used to do in October and November, because they can sometimes sit in cold and wet soil and completely rot off during the winter months. But now we're in late March and the very beginning of April, it's the perfect time to lift and divide them. This is something you need to be really bold and quite brave when it comes to doing. My suggestion with this is always to use a very narrow, deep border spade so you can get in around your clumps. I tend to cut the clump in half before I lift it, leaving half in the ground completely unscathed, and just lift the other half and divide that into as many sections as I want. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing this to all of my hellebores, as you may have remembered me saying I was going to do. All of my hellebores in the garden will be actually cut in half, and half of them will be heading over into the new winter garden. This area is filling up quickly, and I've just planted a load of alliums that I found in the garage and had potted up several weeks ago. They've just been bedded out to pad the area out ever so slightly. The roses in the garden continue to arrive, with packages arriving over the last couple of weeks from Peterbilt and from Harkness Roses, adding even more varieties to my review list for 2025. There is also a very exciting delivery on their way from Surreal Succulents, who are launching a new succulent over the next week or two, and I am proud to announce that you're going to be seeing it on my channels and hearing my opinions on it before anyone else on the internet, which I'm very much looking forward to sharing with you all. In the garden, I've also been out with my torch at dawn and at dusk, searching for those pesky lily beetles. These bright red munching machines are catastrophic to lilies, feasting on lily foliage and lily bulbs exclusively. They have absolutely no other taste for anything else in the garden, and if, like me, you grow an awful lot of lilies, they can do catastrophic damage. As I say, they eat absolutely nothing but lily foliage, leaves and stems. The bright red beetles stand on the leaves and sing for others to join them, and then form breeding colonies on clumps of lilies. The young, once they've actually hatched, cover themselves in their own poop, meaning they're completely unedible to any birds that may be foraging for food, meaning the problem gets worse and worse. These bright red beetles, if disturbed, will fall to the floor, exposing their brown or black bellies and completely disappearing into the soil. Having no natural predators and being heavily armoured makes them really difficult to deal with, and in the organic garden there is really no other choice but to go out at dawn and at dusk and forage for these bright red beetles and dispatch them however you feel fit. My media created on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok about these beetles came under a little bit of fire, which is something I don't normally have to deal with. However, I do understand people's points, but these particular beetles have no known predators here in the UK and, as I say, don't respond to spraying whatsoever. So, as a fully organic gardener, decisions have to be made about how the populations will be controlled. And as I've said before, it's your garden and your rules, so follow whatever you want to do with these particular pests. Right, the other thing that I've been also making up in quite large quantities over the last week or two is garlic water, which brings me very nicely to this week's guest. Several weeks ago, I had the absolute pleasure in driving across the New Forest National Park, where I got to meet Vicky, the owner and operator of New Forest Hostas, a small and independent family-run business in the New Forest, specialising exclusively in hostas, hemerocallis and ferns. To say that I enjoyed this conversation with Vicky and looking around the extensive nursery is an understatement. Vicky absolutely oozes charm and passion for her subject, racking up several gold gilt awards from the RHS at Hampton Court, Chelsea Flower Show and Malvern Hills. I really hope that you head over to the Instagram page for New Forest Hostas or check out their website. And if you're local, consider going along to one of their open days that are posted on their website on a regular basis and immerse yourself in the wonderful world of hostas. For now, I'll let the conversation do the talking. Well, today I'm joined by Vicky from New Forest Hostas. Vicky, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. For those that don't already follow you along on his social media, tell everybody what it is that you do.
Hi, I grow hostas and ferns and lots of other foliage plants and also hemerocallis. We've got a nursery here in the New Forest and it's around an acre in size and it's absolutely rammed full of plants.
I can 100% confirm today that I have been around the nursery and it is actually completely rammed by plants. I'm utterly shocked by just how much space you have from your social media platform. I wasn't getting a gist of the sheer scale of how many varieties that you've got here and how much quantity you've got.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many there are? Varieties, that is.
Varieties of hostas for sale. Probably something like 400 varieties.
Goodness me.
And of what I've got, you could probably double that. But
as in varieties that you're growing for yourself, that you're not for sale for shows and
some
other
of
things.
them are quite rare and not easy to propagate or aren't out there being micropropagated.
Okay. And where are you finding these weird and wonderful plants? Where have you amassed this collection from? Where have you snaffled it from?
I've collected for years.
Okay.
And if I'm like anybody else, I don't know, if you see something beautiful and I shake with excitement, and if I'm with my mother, I'll punch her to get it.
Or if you're like my other half on a plane, push someone over to get to it.
Absolutely, it's mine. Whoever has it is suddenly mine.
Out come the sharpened elbows, and you're wading in.
Well, definitely before Brexit, we used to go to Holland, and there was a lovely man over there we used to go and see called Jan.
But there probably is still a lovely man over there. He's still probably
still
over
lovely
there.
and still there, but sadly I can't go shopping there so much now. And he really helped me at the beginning, and I got some fabulous plants from him. And yes, same still. There is still some great people over there, and I do get things from them. And there's lots I want, so I'm going to save up and have a big purchase next year because I'm getting on top of things this year. We're taking a little bit of a step back this year.
Okay, this is a stock taking year. This is
year. It's like get on top of the nursery, get them weeds out, girl, and sort out all my stuff.
Well, after such a wet 2024, I can imagine, and a mild 2024 winter, I can imagine that there is a lot to catch up on.
There is a lot to catch up on. There really, really is. And we were so busy last year. Once the show season starts, we are going from sort of April right through till August. We don't really have a day off.
Yeah.
And then we're back at the nursery for 2-3 weeks, and it could be boiling hot.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God, it's just try and save everything. And it's water, cover up, move, and doing lots of jobs there. And then we're out again till the end of September generally, and then it's back at the nursery, and it's like everyone thinks it's the winter off madness. We work continually, so it's like potting, moving.
I think everybody that has their own business, whatever it is I think is exactly the same. People say, oh, you must give you so much freedom and fluidity, and you can do whatever you like. It's like, no, I still have to answer to customers, and I still have things to do, and there's accounts to do, and service clients to service. And
I did my accounts over Christmas week.
That doesn't sound a lot of fun.
I mean, that was no fun. Absolutely. Oh, God, what a nightmare. But, yeah, everyone thinks, we're off on holiday all over winter and everything else, and no chance of that at all. I think we've had 1 week in Scotland with the kids since we started.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
2017.
Okay.
We really need a holiday, and we have promised him. I've promised him we like country music, whether we're sad or not, or whether we're on trend. I'm not sure.
Who cares if you're on trend or not?
Country. So I've promised him to take him to the States, and we're going to go and see a bit of country.
Vicky, I love you to pieces. My grandfather, I'm going to tell you some funny stories now. My grandfather and my nan, bless them both, my nan died some time ago, my granddad died about 5 years ago. They were huge country music fanatics, to the point where my granddad he didn't have a car in the very early stages when he met my nan. He had a motorbike and a sidecar, which he used to put my nan in. They toured the entire country listening to country and western music, and he used to get so offended by people saying, oh, you must like line dancing. No, he liked country and western music. He loved the storytelling and the atmosphere and he went to America in 1981. He won a prize in 1981, and to the day that he passed, he could remember every meal, every restaurant, every diner, every single band he saw in that 1981 trip with my nan on a bus, driving around America. When they finally had a child, they had to get a three-wheeler car because he still didn't have a driving licence. So they bought a Robin Reliant. Right. And there is a funny story of my granddad losing control of the Robin Reliant and putting it in a ditch and having to be recovered by the police, dressed in his full country and western regalia. I mean, he did the whole lot. I mean, he was tassels and trousers and boots and stirrups and he had to be pulled out of a ditch in his Robin Reliant by the police.
I love it. I love it. I'm not that much of a fan that I wear the clothes, but
but he used to love the music, and he used to transport himself. And I can still see him in my mind now dancing on a dance floor. He didn't formally know how to dance, but he would tell the story with he pointed his fingers, and he was honestly absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I know where you're coming from. So do take that America trip. Get over there and
we're going to give it a try. Hopefully. As long as people come and buy the plants, we can go.
All right. So everybody that's listening, come to New Forest Hostas this year. Get some money in the coffers. So Vicky and her husband can go off to America and have a holiday for the first time in 8 years. That's very important.
Desperately required.
So how did you end up here? Obviously, you said you ended up. You had a passion for hostas. They obviously make your heart sing. Your face comes alive when you speak about them, as I think everybody does that grows a specific type of plant. How did you end up with the nursery here?
Right, okay, that's a long story. My face shines more a little bit later in the season. At the moment, it's still in shock of winter. Right, so how did we end up here? Firstly, my mother and I are plant fanatics. Okay. We've always done the shows. We love the Rare and Joyce things. Yeah. I don't do bog standard, really. Don't like it.
Well, again, why do you want what everybody else has got?
Well, exactly. So, anyway, she moved down here years ago and bought a place called Apple Court. Yeah. And which was a garden that was open to the public. Now, a lady called Diana Grenfell owned it, and Roger Grounds, her husband. Now, he specialised in grasses, and she was the hosta lady. Okay. She wrote many books.
Yeah, these two things don't really go together.
No, not really. And
not as in growing condition-wise.
And the Henricanis into that as well, because they come from there. So, but they used to be in sort of the same genus.
Oh, you mentioned that you had inherited the daylilies a second ago, and I did wonder what you meant.
Yeah. I inherited them from.
So they've been passed
Mum.
down.
They've been passed on, and they are glorious. But there's some work there to do still. Yeah. And anyway, so Mum had the nursery, and that was her love. And but two people can't be boss, can they? So I left Mum to that. Okay. Helped her out on occasions. And then I was waiting for Mum to retire, and I really wanted to take on hostas and do the hostas. Well, if I had 200 plants left from where my mother was doing it, that was it. And But we started from there. So Mum's retired, sold the house and nursery, and I took on what was left from there. Mainly what come were herbaceous and a few hostas. And we ended up in a field in Bransgore with no water.
Okay.
Put up some polytunnels there. Council didn't like that. Had a battle with them. Still didn't have water. It was all getting a bit of a nightmare. Looked for a new place. And in between that, I did go to a field also, a car park of a fisheries in Burley, between there.
Yeah.
With the herbaceous and the hostas and everything.
I've got visions of you sort of trekking the length of the New Forest with a little wagon and a little brolly
absolutely,
and handkerchief
with a
tied on
with
it.
Some
yeah.
water and saying, here, would you like a little bit of water once a week? And, if you're lucky.
Finding the local watering holes and
absolutely.
fending off the very hungry donkeys and things. Yeah.
But we came here, I think it was a year, what are we now, 4 or 5 years here. We came here the year before COVID started.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. It was derelict, and grass had been laid on top of what was the hardcore. So we had to start all again, putting watering tanks, everything, tunnels, everything, and here we are now.
So you've come a very, very long way in a relatively small period of time.
We have. I haven't slept for all that time. How many years did you say?
We said it was 7 or 8.
For 8 years. I go for 2 hours a night if I'm lucky. And some very, very, very long days. And we try and say we will have half a day off at least a week, on which is Sunday afternoon. Yeah. We try.
Okay. I'm going to tell you that you really need to do more than try.
He cries into his pillow at night. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll find my little fiddle. I'll find my little fiddle. Insert fiddle music here in the edit. But
we've decided we've got to make it easier. That's why this year we have taken a little bit of a step back. We're going to be on the nursery.
So I'm actually talking to someone who's won a Chelsea Gold Award, a gold medal. Okay. Yes. How did that happen?
Well, we've done quite a few now. I think I've got 5 now.
Goodness me.
You.
Because I've seen a display.
It changed. Yeah. It's changed a little bit now with Chelsea and things. You used to have to work your way through and get golds at the other shows before you were let to go into Chelsea. Yeah.
So for those of the audience who don't really know, it's almost like entering a horse show or a dog show. You need to kind of build the pedigree of your business, your animal, to the point where you can then go. But
not so much since COVID.
Okay.
Basically, if you've got a garden, you grow a plant, you can go in and display.
Okay.
Yes. So we ended up at Chelsea, which was, I couldn't believe it. Pinch myself moment. Absolutely. Couldn't believe I was there on my first Chelsea.
I've seen the displays. The displays have been. I mean, last year's was absolutely extraordinary.
Oh, did you see it?
Of course I did.
The bed and the bath.
Yeah, the mixture of media between the copper of the bath and the foliage was just beautiful. Really lovely. Yeah. So we did the 2 displays there, and I wanted to do something completely different, and I had a crazy dream, and sat bolt upright in the middle of the night and said, I know what we're going to do. We need a bed and a bath. And it all stemmed from there. So that was the first year we'd taken ferns and foliage to there, and that was in the bed, and then the bath that somebody had lent us, and there was a lovely lady, Jane, in our village who took it in lockdown, had taken up sculpture. Mm-hmm. And she'd only ever done little things, and normally little dogs' heads and lots of them beautiful. And I said, well. And what media is she working in, or what she would normally?
Well, she does. She does most things. She'll do them in bronze. Okay. They weren't in bronze. Yeah. Of course, they needed to be light, moved around, and they were going to be big. And I'm like, oh, can you make me a man and a woman? and one's asleep in there. So we had, Steve wouldn't be a model. I asked him, my husband, he wouldn't be a model. I said, I would.
He didn't want to be painted like a French girl.
Oh yeah, well I wanted him in the bed asleep, dreaming about these plants, but he was like not
with
having
the sea of the ocean sort of nestled in his cleavage.
So she'd gone to her gym and she had a male friend, and he modelled on the floor and done that, and we'd had someone literally come in here, we're climbing inside the bath, laying there, how her hand would go. We were working on it for the whole year. She was so patient. She was brilliant. She did these amazing sculptures that was still, because it was in a different medium for her and everything, and the finish I really wanted. And it kept reacting, so it was still reacting on the day. We took it up there, and suddenly with the moisture from the Thames, everything started getting sticky and running.
Oh no.
So we're taking it back to her house. They're trying something new, painting it, bringing it back the next day. But they were glorious. It had an incredible effect on people. And so much so, some people stopped and just cried, and they found it really emotional.
Well, again, it's the display stopped me in my tracks, and having done this for a lot of years. I mean, I've been professionally gardening for 30 years.
Right.
There's not a lot I haven't. It sounds really blatant, but there's not a lot I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And there's, again, everything gets recycled, but the take on it was beautiful. And do you know what it made me feel of? I've been very, very gratefully. I'm really humbled to be invited to the Festival of Water, which is taking place at Salisbury Cathedral at the beginning of May, and it made me think of the new font that's in Salisbury. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes, I went up there.
And again, I mean, I'm not a religious man, but the building itself is overpoweringly just a sense of calm and still and beauty to it. But then that font is just, well, it is quite overwhelming.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah,
literally, we went there at the end of the season. I took my son up there, and my mother, she was down visiting. That's right. And we went in there, and it was gorgeous, and we had an absolutely lovely day, and couldn't believe how clean it was. Oh my God, there was not a speck of dust anywhere. Unlike the nursery.
Someone's got a very good feather duster, I must admit, because my house doesn't look like that.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful.
So your show schedule for this year, where can people find yourself, Vicky, and Steve out with the show season this year? Where are you heading?
Right, so first off, we start the year with around 4 open weekends in April.
Yeah.
And then at the end of April, we go to Bewley.
So just so everybody knows, the nursery is out near S2E10 in the New Forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and you'll publish your open days on your
They're
Instagram,
on your
website.
Okay,
So,
and everyone still needs to double check with the website before coming, in case something dreadful happens, like there's a really late frost and everything's turned to mush. And but generally they should be fine.
Okay, and so open days are starting, you say, April.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go to Bewley, and then Bewley straight on from that up to Malvern.
So Bewley, it's the Gardener's World Live.
Gardener's World Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
which I'm going to be going to for the first time this year. I've never been, so I'm going to make my way there this year.
We love it. Yeah, it's a fairly new show, and they keep building and improving on it. And for us, it's local.
Yeah.
Not many shows are local for us. We have to travel. And I get to sleep in my own bed, and I come back and I can restock daily. It's lovely. Really lovely little show. So then to Malvern. We were going to be doing Chelsea, but we have cancelled because we've taken a step back. So we're not there.
Well, again, with five gold medals under your belt, you don't really have anything to prove, do you? It's,
well, yes and no. It's I love it.
But I suppose
I absolutely love Chelsea.
Yeah.
Husband doesn't as much. It is super, super, super hard work and quite stressful for the time and exhausting. You like start at 7 a.m. and you finish at 9 p.m.
Yeah, you've got to be there well before the people turn up, and you've got to be well there afterwards. To
they do events after.
Okay, yeah.
And they finish at 9.
Okay.
And then we can go.
Yeah. And then
you have that all week, but then at some stage you drive back to get a little bit of stock because you've got 2 trolley storage to put out there. And when do you do it all? It's just really, really hard work.
I mean, hard work. It's hard work attending. I mean, I know this sounds like a bit like a wet lettuce to say, but it's hard work attending the show.
You're lucky if you can find a seat, aren't you?
This is my biggest gripe with it. I'm not going to get into the whole rundown of why I don't particularly like Chelsea, but I find it oversubscribed. and far too expensive. And for the money that you pay for it as someone attending, you think, well, actually, if they'd put the ticket price up by £3 or £4, I wouldn't have minded, and they just thin the herd by about, 20%, because it's a rugby scrum everywhere you go. You just simply can't get anywhere.
Nowhere near as bad as it used to be years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, well, when I was young, which is only a few years ago, like to say.
Just yesterday.
Yesterday. You literally were nose to nose. It was, you could not move. So from olden times, oh my goodness, it's so much better.
See, I told you I was just being a bit of wet lettuce. I was just being
too
soft.
There's plenty of room. You can skip and jump around there. I have to walk around there with crates of plants above my head and everything else.
The other thing I don't understand is like, well, wait a minute. What? I know it's sponsored by the BBC, but can we do the filming when we're not open? Can we maybe do the filming at the beginning part? Maybe get Monty up at 6, and he can come and do the film when there's not the road noise and hundreds of people here. And yeah, you could get run over by a boom, and there's a sound man, and there's a camera people. And you think, for goodness sake,
it is quite challenging, but they have their reasons. But do you know what? The public loves it, and they love to watch the filming.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they really do. Yeah.
And just makes it Chelsea, doesn't it? Special. People will queue for hours to get a glimpse of Alan.
Hampton Court is my gem. I think Hampton Court is my favourite of them all. It's a lot more space. It's a lot more open. It's easier to get to. And
that's all changing though. So it's supposedly going to be every other year.
That's correct. Yeah, to give the site a little bit of a break, and a bit of a move.
And so we're there this year. It always was mine because it's shopping paradise. We park our cars, and my mother and I used to have a wheelbarrow each.
Yeah.
And we used to be going across, well, she'd have an entourage by the end of it.
You haven't got one of those little wheelie trolleys?
Yeah, we'd have that. But by the time when I used to go with my mother, the olden times.
Yeah, last week.
Literally, we'd be putting it into storage, and by the end of it, we'd have like 3 or 4 young lads with wheelbarrows behind us trying to get this into our old Volvo, and we were literally ramming it all in, and it was just the most amazing. We used to have such a giggle.
This is a very familiar story because I've been there and done this. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! So for shopping, you can't beat Hampton Court. Really. Okay.
So you're doing Hampton Court this year?
We are at Hampton Court.
Yeah, so that's July.
We're doing Gardeners World Live at Birmingham. We are, I think we're at Wesley.
Yeah.
Wesley.
For a Hosta show?
No. Just the Wesley Garden late.
Okay.
I can't remember the date.
It doesn't matter. You can let me know the date later, or I can put it in the blurb.
It's on our website.
It's all good.
Where else are we going? No, I think...
So although you're not doing Chelsea, you have a very, very busy season ahead of you.
Yes. Yeah. We have got that new show, wherever it is up north.
Okay.
Yeah, right. That one.
Okay, so the audience can see you in loads of... As well as coming to the open days here at the nursery and buying stock, they can see you in loads of different places.
And this year we're going to try and keep our website open.
Okay.
Generally, because it's only me and the husband... we close it as soon as the shows start because we cannot keep up with the orders, getting them posted out and attending the shows.
Of course not, no.
And trying to get
it's just the two of you?
It's just the two of us.
Just the two of you, yeah.
The kids do help us on the odd occasion, but my son has gone on strike now for at least a year, and he says he's never touching a plant again.
He's contesting working hours and conditions?
And the other one's been travelling the world, and his girlfriend is amazing. She will be back in April, and she's going to come and help us with Morven. She is an absolute delight.
Well, I'm going to make you an offer now. If you need any help, you can let me know.
Oh, fantastic!
You can let me know.
Okay.
You can just give me a call. I would be more than happy to give you a hand. I do not mind in the slightest.
You may regret that.
Because you don't need to ask me twice to get knee deep in plants. You really, really don't. Not June. That's all I'm going to stipulate. Not June.
Not June. The month or the plant?
The month.
Okay. So I've got a hosta called June. She's really lovely, actually. She's as tough as old boots. She's won every award. Don't be nasty to her.
I won't be. No. June is a write-off for me. I'll be at home, and again, my husband will be looking at me as if I'm Bark Raven mad because I've got over 50 rose reviews to film this year, so I will be drowning. As in roses.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah. I've got 50 in the ground to review this year, so yeah, I'm full fun. I've done 130.
You've got a big garden then.
Not big enough. I think that's the thing that everybody that has a garden will say. I need a garden with an elasticated waist. I sort of need to let it out and I sort of let it back in again when I don't want so much. But
well, we've been contemplating moving, and I'm like, I want 10 acres.
Again, that's a stipulation for us at the moment. We're that's what we're trying to do. But again, the actual logistics of doing it
I also need to win the lottery. So.
Well, there is that as well.
I look, I go, that's not it. But that one is, and that's only 2.5. Oh, that one's 4, and I like that one.
Well, so, I'm on the internet peddling me wares, slowly but surely, earning a few pennies here and a few pennies there. I'll just sort of squirrel them away. The dream will come one day. So how many varieties of hostas have you got here? I mean, and...
It changes all the time from what's available. Sometimes there might only be 100 available. Other times there'll be 400 or 500. I haven't had a count up for a while, but yeah, we've probably got near 1,000 varieties of our own.
Wow, and there's ferns and hemerocallis, and is it
yes.
heuchera as well? Or?
No, heuchera is my friend across the road.
Okay,
and she's got those little lovelies. Yeah, we just do foliage plants as well, which we've started. So this is a new little line for us. And do you know what? It's so refreshing to grow something else. So
the hostas are going to hear you.
I know, they might take offence. I still love them, don't worry. But yeah, we've got some brooders going in there and they're all shooting up. I'm like, little talking to them, you're looking good, guys. So yeah. I've got some podophyllums and lots of other bits and pieces. Okay. So we'll build on it, but I need to make room. Hence why I'm getting on top of the nursery this year. Okay. I'm trying to expand and change things and
diversify a little bit.
Diversify. Well, I've decided this year I'm getting a lot more commercial. So generally I'm rubbish.
Until the general public piss you off and it's I'm not being commercial anymore.
No, do you know what? They're all like my children and everybody's adopting my hostas. I take them away, I go, you be nice to it because it's my baby. And if you
I said this tale on series 1 of the podcast that I quite often think I've got far too many plants, I've propagated too many plants, I must get rid of some plants. So we know, for instance, some guests will be coming from dinner. A couple will be coming for dinner. I'll tell you what, they'll really like X, Y, and Z. So I go up to the greenhouse and I think, okay, I'll give you away, and I take them to the back door. I think I'll give them to them when they get here. 10 minutes later, I squirrel them all back away again. I can't do it. I can't give them away.
I have exactly the same problem. Husband
Vicky, you're a bad businesswoman.
I have benches full of plants that I'm going to be propagating, all my babies. And I'm like, yeah.
You realise this is called hoarding. This is not called retail.
Well, that's the problem with the tunnels. I'm like, you should be making me way more money than you are. And it's just like my collection from the top tunnel has expanded to the rest of the nursery. And I really, really struggle to get rid of things because they come up and they go, you are so, so gorgeous. I kind of want to charge £1,000 for it to part with it, but I'm like, no, you just sit there another year and you'll be fine.
Maybe next year.
And but this year, I've got my sensible head on. I'm like, one day you want to retire.
I'm going to touch base with you at the end of the season and say how you've done.
No, do you know what? I'm doing really well. So I'm going through our 2-bay and I'm like, all the little lovelies that I'm waiting to propagate from. I'm like, you're going in a big pot and you're going out and someone can have you. So I'm getting better.
So I'm going to have to ask you, because you've said about the ones that really make you smile. Is there a particular variety? Is there say?
There's too many.
There's too many, which is again often. I was speaking to Nick from Gilbert's Dahlias not a week, 10 days ago, and his face lits up like you, isn't it? Not that you've got little rosy cheeks, but you've got little rosy cheeks. He's lovely, and his face illuminates. He said, "No, they're all my favourite. I can't."
Yeah. I don't grow what I don't love.
To be honest with you, I'm just going to interrupt you again before you say that, because I think that is a absolutely perfect piece of advice to give people that are growing things. If you do not love it, if it doesn't make you grin from ear to ear, I say to people, if it doesn't make your heart sing, don't do it. Find something else, because there's loads of things to make your heart sing.
Absolutely, and there's not enough. No one's got enough room out there. Unless you've got a lot of money and won the lottery, and you've got all those.
And there's not enough joy in the world, so you find the joy wherever you can.
Exactly. I mean, when any of them are peeking their little noses up, I get all excited to see what they're like. So if I find that one that's particularly rubbish,
my husband says I don't talk to him like I talk to my plants or my dogs. or the
no.
dog. He said, because I
absolutely.
quite often go, oh, look at you, aren't you cute? Hello. And the dog's ears prick up, and she comes over, and my husband goes, well, you don't speak to me like that. It's like, well, you are pretty, but look at it, it's cute.
It's exactly the same with us with our dash elves. Oh my God, they're my babies. Oh, the kids, yeah, they're back home today. And everyone feels neglected compared to what our sausage dogs are. No, sausage dogs.
Sausage dogs.
The sausage dogs. The hostas too.
And what type of sausage dogs have you got?
Oh, what? They're little miniature ones.
My mum and dad have a miniature one.
Okay.
A miniature
so I've got
wire-haired.
a wire-head.
Yes.
The little girl.
Okay, my mum and dad's is called Doris. She's from Hungary. She's
Okay.
Hungarian, yeah.
Mine's northern.
Okay.
Mabel, she's a nutter. We got her after Tatton. I'd fallen at the show and busted my hand up and just sprained it badly or done something. And then he made me drive across the... Is it the Mendips up there?
That's
What's
it,
up
yeah,
there?
yeah. I think so, yeah.
It was pouring with rain. I was literally driving through sobbing, snot coming out my nose because I was so scared. Driving this great big van, going across in this rain and sheer drops and things, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know the road and it's dark and everyone's flashing me. It was awful. But I was like, this dog better be lovely. And we stayed over the night in a travel lodge or something, and I'm like, someone's going to steal my show plants because I had them all in the back. I was really, really paranoid, so I got no sleep. Constantly going to check if the van's still
Twitching
there.
at the
No
curtain,
one's stolen my show plants because I'd be devastated. And off to get her the next day, and she is adorable.
What colour?
Well, she's like salt and pepper colour.
Okay.
It's a little mixture.
Mum, I think Doris would be described. I think they call her boar. She's
Okay.
black. She's black and tan.
Okay, and
black
then
and tan.
the other one, that's Banger. You can see Banger.
Oh, yeah.
No one else
Lovely,
comes, little
yeah.
ginger one. And he is like what does the other half calls him like a rugby prop from in the Dachshund world. He's a little bruiser and he's a little chunky and he likes his food.
I described Doris as a sandbag. I mean, she's absolutely solid. I mean, you literally can't pick her up. I mean, she's like 4.5, 5 kilos, but she's literally just solid muscle. But lovely,
yes,
very cute, and absolutely packed full of personality.
They are absolutely, yeah.
And it's funny, Doris is the reason why I was, for my 40th, which was 4 or 5 years ago. My pledge to myself was to get another dog. We have a Labradoodle who's now 10,
Okay.
and I, for some reason, thought that getting another dog would make it easier when the time finally comes that I'm going to have to say goodbye to our current Ethel, who is. You always get one, and Ethel is the one. She has been an absolute joy, and she continues to be an absolute joy. She's obviously got a long time ahead of her yet, but I thought for some reason that by getting another dog, it would actually soften the blow of and I realised that was silly because I'm gonna have to still at some point say goodbye at some point. Anyway, my mum and dad got. Long story short, my mum and dad got the Dachshund just after lockdown. She came over from Holland. Couldn't get them in here, and anyway, very good breeder in Holland brought her over for mum and dad. And the way that Ethel looks at Doris is with utter detest and disgust, and she hates sharing my mum and dad with Doris. She hates sharing my attention with Doris, and I thought, no, you don't want another dog. You don't want another dog and then I thought, actually, I'm just being horrible to you. If I get another dog, you're going to spend all of your life just being, because she gets socially awkward. If I change the tone of my voice, she looks at me as if I've sort of, just smacked her around the head and I haven't touched her, If I raise my voice at her, she looks like I've hit her with an iron bar and I've really done something nasty to her, and I haven't been near her. But yeah, Doris is a little pickle, full of character, and you say no to Doris and Ethel cowers, and you say Doris in your basket and Ethel goes and lays in Doris's basket. And Ethel is 25 kilos and Doris is this big, and she curls up in this little bed, and it's like, okay, no, we won't get another dog. You're just going to be an only child. Just leave you on your own.
Okay. Yeah, well, ours, well, we've taken a step back. See, we had ours, the boy, chemically castrated, which is why he looks like a rugby prop, because he literally ballooned up overnight and
bless him.
the testicles shrank to nothing. And basically it's worn off now. And we haven't got her done yet, and we're like, they would make such beautiful babies. And I'm like, but if she had babies, I'd want to keep them all.
Keep them all, you can't.
He said I could keep one, but I'd definitely keep two. And then I say the kids.
Well, they don't. They're not
each.
famed for having particularly large litters, so you might
No,
end up with
it
one or
might
two.
only be one or two, so that would be great. But if we ended up with 7, I'm already working out who can have them, so they stay close.
Who's qualified to have them?
So the kids live in the garage at the moment, so they could have 2.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and 2 in the house. So
Okay.
that's 4 I've got at home. Any extra, the neighbours already mentioned. Their dog's due to pop their clogs. I could have a couple across the road. I mean, I've got it sorted.
So I have to ask. I mean, Doris is particularly barky. Are yours loud? Do they like to talk a lot?
They do like the sound of their own
quite
voices.
vocal, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They like to just welcome him. They're like little cockerels. They go out in the garden in the morning and they just like to hear their own voice. And they're just out there barking like
My
that.
mum says to me,
Like,
she
"Whoa,
says,
stop."
can we swap dogs? She loves Doris to pieces, but she says to me, because Ethel is just so easy. So can we have Ethel and you have Doris? I was like, Mum, I love Doris to pieces, but you can keep Doris. So I'm keeping Ethel because it doesn't make a sound. Literally not a peep out of her ever. We've been burgled several times and she hasn't made a bloody peep. She's absolutely useless.
Oh no, they are quite vocal, but not terrible. Mabel's worse than Banger, basically. Yeah.
We completely digressed. So I do apologise.
Let's move on.
So back to the nursery and what you're doing here. You're going to get, but I'm sure you get absolutely thoroughly bored with people asking you this question. They ask me this question all the time. You know where I'm going already.
I know.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
How are we
I'm
dealing?
starting to shake. I can feel the season coming. It's like 1,000 times an hour. I get asked this question. I've thought about having it tattooed across my forehead.
You got PTSD, haven't you?
I have. Absolutely.
How can we protect our hostas from the slugs and the snails?
Right, I sing to them. I find that works
You
really well.
You sing to the slugs and the snails or to the hostas?
The hostas, and it keeps them away. Right. Well, I'm like a mad lady.
Sorry, are we singing? Are we sort of singing like a sort of fisherman's wench here on a rock or something? Like,
No, you'll find it's a little bit country.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, a bit of a southern twang to it.
Oh yeah, don't worry. But I do a really good Macy Gray.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Move on.
Come on, we're
anyway,
descending into hysteria.
Absolutely. So it starts early, and that's all I say to everyone is over winter. If you've got your hostas in pots, it's easy. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest way to grow them is in pots. In the ground, it's much harder to control it. But in pots, over winter, you can tip your plant out of the pot. I'm not saying break up the soil or anything else. Hopefully it's all rooted round. You can tip it out and you can just check at the bottom of the pot will be eggs or up the sides. They're like little jelly, clear jelly things. Yeah. Pick them off, pick the slugs off, put them back in, and you're all going to start the season on a good note. Yeah. So you're getting on top of it. We say Valentine's Day, you start applying garlic wash. Now, they hate garlic wash. Yeah. They hate the smell of garlic. I have discovered tiny little snails, when they get crushed, accidentally of course, they smell of garlic. And I think it's something to do with that. They are pre-marinated. Absolutely. So, anyway, we hadn't been doing it on the nursery until this year. Now, I've got a lovely guy, John, Hain Gardens to Hostas. Mm-hmm. He swears blind by it and he's done it, and I've got so many people who do. But now we are doing it on the nursery as well. I thought the neighbours might hate me with over an acre of it going on, but they hate me anyway.
So you're spraying and watering on garlic water.
We are drenching the nursery now, so we start drenching as of Valentine's Day. Yeah. And
again, hopefully everybody's listening to this because these are perfect nuggets. It's the kind of thing that I bang on about all the time, and again, I go blue in the face, so it's nice to hear them about.
Well, you have to apply it weekly. It takes 2 weeks for it to kick in. But if you start early, it's never too late to start. Yeah. If you start early, though, it will kick in. And as the foliage and the shoots of anything comes up that gets eaten, it will take on the smell and taste of garlic.
Okay, so we're talking about things like marigolds and marrows and...
lupins.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the names of plants now. Delphiniums, anything that gets eaten.
Yeah.
It does white fly, green fly, lily beetle, lots of things.
Now you sound like you're on QVC.
I know.
Wi-Fi, baby.
Well, do
Look
you
at
know
you
what?
speeding
I've
them
said
off.
it so many blooming times at the show. Everybody can make it. If you want the recipes
Or that
on
man
the
with
website.
or the man with the spiralizer that does the spaghetti.
Oh yeah,
it chops
absolutely.
this, it chops that,
but
it chops that.
The funniest thing is, right, I've been shouting about this for years.
Yeah.
And I get everyone coming, I'll go, here you go, there's a business card, on the back's a recipe, handing it out, and I've get going there. They're going, why don't you sell it? Because I haven't got anything else to do. So, but anyway.
And you can make it at home. It's
really
really easy.
This year, I've given the job to my husband.
Okay.
And I've bought him. I treated him.
What did you treat him to?
I put it down as a Valentine's Day present. I got him one of those urns for making tea.
Yes.
And there you go, it's brewing all day. We just don't do it for 10 minutes. I am brewing this stuff. Anyway, he's up there. If you go in there, it smells like
there's no vampires anywhere
it's
near
like
there.
a good Italian up there. Anyway, you go in there and we are making it ourselves and bottling it up. So this is our first year.
Yeah.
We've created labels and little scoops with our names on. Oh my God.
Well done.
I surprise myself of how professional we can be at times. At times.
So this
always.
is going to be the commercial opportunity. This is going to be...
Well, if anyone wants to buy it, it's on the website now. And if you spend enough money, you'll get some free. So...
Again, we want to stop doing that immediately.
No, I need to get rid of hostas. We're so full. I've purchased way too much.
And as you've naturally led us to that conversation, you mentioned earlier about bringing in stock from Europe.
Yes.
Is that where your propagation stock is coming from?
Some yes and no. I do work for my own collection of what I've got, and I've got a whole range of things I produce myself. And also what plugs I can get from England that are being produced here, I will get here.
Yeah.
But yes, I will get some bare root in from Holland.
Mm-hmm.
We all have to get their varieties and the numbers because they're not being produced in this country.
Yeah. Well, the largest audience you're speaking to at the moment is from Holland. Number one podcast in my field in Holland. Don't know why, but again, I think it's down to the sheer amount of growers and the sheer amount of gardeners.
Absolutely.
It's
we will get the choice, and the plants and the quality will come from there. And we have just had, what have I had? 6,000 plants in on the last order, and the nursery was full when they arrived, and now we're trying to find homes for them, and it's really, really challenging.
And they're only going to get bigger, aren't they? They're going to wake up and they're going to
you have to put them in a pot. When they come in the crate, bare root, it's not too bad. Put it in a pot.
It's like pricking up.
You can look out the window now, and they've got trolleys full of pots going, "Give me a home, give me a home." At the moment, So if anyone needs to come and buy some plants, because we've got loads left from last year, so not the freshly stuff, that will all sit on the bench and be ready later in the season. And but there's going to be a hell of a lot available, and to make room. And then next year I'm going to bring in lots of new varieties.
Okay. Anything particular that you've got your eye on, or?
No, it's not like that. It's what I can actually prize out of them.
Okay.
The little babies.
What they're going to let you?
I got monkey business this year, which wasn't in it doesn't micropropagate well, but someone did it last year, one of the suppliers, and so it is about this year, and I have 200, and that's like gold dust, and. Whether I part with all of them, as you tell,
well, you shouldn't.
I might hold some back. No, but I got 200 for this year, and so that's exciting because my show plants are stunning.
Yeah. And
everybody wants it, and I go, no, it's mine. Keep your hands off. And so to have that one out there for this year is fantastic.
It's exciting, something new.
Yeah. It's nice to take some new bits, and there is some new bits about, and there is going to be new things out, and there'll be mature plants, the ones that are going out in the nursery. When I get time to pop them on, And
you mentioned while we were walking around that post Brexit, that's been quite difficult for you to get hold of stock. That's really impacted you as
it has really made things a lot more tricky.
Yeah,
definitely. My the main supplier I was using he was elderly and didn't want to get into doing all the paperwork.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
And I lost him, my lovely Jan, and for getting plants of him, and
so do
he
you know
was
what
an
happened?
absolute delight.
What happened? Where did Jan just
no,
retire?
he's still there.
Okay.
No, but they don't need the hassle.
No, of course they don't. No, I mean nobody did.
They don't need the hassle, and it is hassle.
Yeah.
And the expense has all gone up because everything we're paying, getting it in and checked, and oh my goodness,
passports.
Don't go into it. It's just a nightmare. The whole thing. I find it quite ludicrous, really, and unnecessary.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll leave that there.
Yeah, let's not get onto that one.
So the other thing I know the audience will be absolutely dying to find out from you. Obviously, you're growing hostas professionally. You absolutely love hostas and ferns and other foliage plants like that. Mm-hmm. Top tips for growing. What conditions can people give hostas, especially that if they're just about getting excited about saying they want a few hostas in the garden? What kind of growing conditions do they really love?
Right. Well, it's more what they don't love. Okay. So they don't like really, really, really wet conditions, and they don't like really, really dry conditions. So all hostas will take shade to semi-shade.
Yeah.
A few will take some sun.
Yeah.
And happily sit there and will acclimatise to it.
So I've got a couple of varieties at home that are sat in baking
Summer
sun.
Substance and June and everything.
Normally, I don't know whether this is correct, but I'm finding, because I don't really some of the darker grey leafed ones, with almost a very much a tough thick leaf. Again, if they go up to a plant and actually touch it, I'm finding the softer ones tend to like a little bit more of the dappled shade. The more waxy, stronger ones that tend to like something they can take a little bit more heat.
Right. In a way, yes,
right?
But the problem with what you've just said, so the blues, they got a bloom over them to make them blue. Yeah. Now, the more you put them in the sun, it will burnish off the blue.
Okay.
And then it will be green.
Yeah.
And so to get the best colour out of your blue hostas, you give them more shade.
Okay.
And they will stay beautiful. There's a few varieties. We list them on the website, but you've got Summer Substance, Tune, probably Cathedral Windows, Sunset Grooves, will take some sun and live quite happily out there. But I like to keep them in pots. My whole collection is in pots. I am actually trying to tell myself, put some in your garden. You are the only person who doesn't have them planted in your garden. So I have taken some no-name varieties or some, you need to go somewhere and I'll put you in the ground. So I have taken some home and I am planting them out this year. But to battle there with slugs and snails and battle home with slugs and snails, my hours in the day of hunting, because I will do a shift here, I will come all day and work, and then I go home, have dinner, and then I come back. It's normally, I aim it for around an hour after sunset, because that's the time they all start coming out. Yeah. And then I'm here till around 1 a.m. How sad is that?
Well, it needs to be done. Again, I'm
my little head torch.
Constantly telling people this is the best thing to do.
And
obviously with me, it's roses. I'm renowned for my roses, and everybody's like, "How do you prevent black spot?" And it's exactly the same as you described with the slugs and the snails. The prevention is much better than the cure. If you can get on top of it with your hygiene, and then you don't have to deal with a huge problem. Yeah. Get the leaves picked up, do your pruning properly. Yeah.
Exactly.
And give them a good inspect. I mean, get in there and give either pick the leaves off of the ones that you had from last year, or. And again, I was talking about dahlias on the podcast the other day and on a live stream I did. Don't just put your dahlia tuber in a pot. Have a look underneath the pot before, because otherwise all you're doing is taking the tiny little snail or the slug into the greenhouse, and then you'll get up every day and it's munched X, Y, and Z, but you can't find it.
Well, they've had babies by then, haven't they? They've increased. One's turned into 1,000 overnight.
So prevention much better than cure.
Absolutely. But they like semi-shaded positions, basically. Generally, all of them.
And soil wise,
soil, they're really not fussy.
Okay,
they can take anything. Just not too dry.
Too dry.
The sandy soil's what they'll struggle with. But as for acidity, it's not a problem.
And sort of organic matter.
Well, yeah, as long as it's well rotted, they'll love a bit of that.
Yeah.
Then they are really easy to grow if you can just sort out your slugs and snail
Okay,
problem.
because again, it's I've got one at home called, I think it's called Big Blue, which produces leaves.
Did you make that up yourself?
Possibly, yeah.
I
I mean,
think
it
you
might have been. Might have been folklore history, but if you say anything with enough conviction, people believe you, don't they? Goodness me, I've made a career out of it. My father told me, whatever you do, go everywhere as if you know exactly where you're going and what you're doing. And of course, every time I go to B&Q, excuse me, where's this? It's like, I don't work here. Just marching about. And then I get there, because I'm a man, because I don't ever ask for directions. I get there and it's like, no, this is not where I want to be. And I have to turn around and walk somewhere else as if I know what I'm doing. But no, I thought it was called Big Blue.
Okay, yeah, there may be. No, I haven't got it.
Produces leaves
nice.
about this big. But everybody, again, I've got them lined up outside the front of the cottage, and people say, again, how do you keep the slugs and snails off you? So, well, I don't feed the birds. I'm one of these funny people that the birds don't need me to feed them. They eat berries and seeds, and they can pick their way through my herbaceous borders. And unless it gets sub-zero for weeks on end, and then of course forage becomes difficult. But my next door neighbour does nothing but feed the bird, and his garden is full of slugs and snails. Well, I don't have a slug or snail anywhere because I don't feed them peanuts. They're eating my slugs and snails. The song thrush comes and eats everything. So.
Lucky to have a song thrush.
I'm going to remind you of that when it's singing outside your front or back door.
We're normally rooks.
Oh my God, honestly.
In the pub, there's normally like trees full of them.
Being autistic, the difference in frequency, literally, shut the up. Because it bounces everywhere. He does a sort of and it's lovely to begin with, and then it just really gets in my ears, and I'm like, I could quite happily hit you with a slingshot, but of course I don't. But
because he's eating your slugs and snails, and who would?
And year after year, he comes back and sings outside the back door. I should be grateful, but yeah, the batting around for someone who struggles with sound is like, oh, I can't deal with you. Shut up. It's dark. Shut up.
All I would say, if you're planting out in the garden, you go for ones.
Yeah.
They've got a better pest resistance.
Yeah.
That's why your big blues are doing well.
Okay.
Because generally, the blue hostas have got a thicker leaf.
I'm going to market that.
Yeah.
I've just developed a new variety.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure there is one called Big Blue. Perhaps in olden times. I've never heard of it.
So you're not suggesting people use other barrier methods like horticultural grit, sharp sand, crushed eggshell, copper?
Look, if it works, people use a variety of things, and we have heard just about everything. Last year it was cucumber slices because everybody had watched it on Facebook, and
it's like covering everything in bloody cinnamon.
Really?
Oh my goodness!
Grit.
How much cinnamon did people put?
I've not heard that.
Oh,
one.
that was a lockdown.
What's that on your
one.
roses?
No, that was on seedlings to stop them rotting.
Seriously?
Again, how much was that worth? I mean, how much cinnamon was sold worldwide because everybody went out and bought?
Oh my God, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, dust everything with cinnamon. I mean, it doesn't work. It's
the
just
point that people, will come into me, I put my eggshells around, I put my slices of cucumber around, and I'm like,
well, the slugs are going to love the cucumber.
I bet your hostas look fabulous.
Because I noticed here in the nursery, you're actually using bark around them.
Yes.
Which a lot of people would don't go anywhere near. It's...
Right, yeah, we do use the bark, and I would say if you can find it nice and prickly bark, that will make a dent for them. Anything that's sharp, they will not like to cross.
No, of course.
And it works really well. We do use this as well, the earth. And you're going to ask me what it's called, and it's got a really, really difficult name.
Oh, is this the dust that you would use in a chicken coop? Yes. Okay. All right.
So I use that.
Yeah.
And I've used that last year or so.
Which literally sucks the moisture out of absolutely everything it touches.
Do you know what? It's blooming marvellous. Last year I did it over the whole of the miniature collection up there, and often suffer with vine weevil, as we all do. They're a pest in this country.
Yeah.
Not a dicky bird.
Okay.
And as they go through it, as anything tries to go through it, it gets caught up in all their limbs and joints, and has not a very nice effect on them.
No.
Well, I found that's worked a treat as well. So garlic wash that. Yes.
Because I suppose the miniatures must be really particularly difficult, because some of these, I mean, I've seen some of the leaves on these, they're literally 10, 15 millimetres. They're proper tiny. So
they are tiny.
Yeah, so even one night with a relatively small slug can really set them back.
Absolutely. No, slugs aren't so much of the problem, I will say. Okay, slugs will do a tiny little holes, basically. They do eat the decaying matter more. So if there is leaves and things about, you've seen the nursery, we are having a tidy up, and I do recommend it everywhere. But if you have got anything that's decaying, they will go into that. So it doesn't hurt to have, even now when I start the hunting, I will look in the decaying matter on the floor, because they will go for that first.
Okay, yeah.
To pick them out.
Yeah. And
take them for a nice drive and drop them off in the forest, because I'm an angel.
Take them off to the bonfire.
The nice salty seawater. Yes, but that works really well. That gravel is really good. If you can put your pots on gravel, they generally don't like to cross it.
Yeah.
And you've got to watch what comes in. As soon as you see trouble, you go out an hour after sunset and you pick the blighter off, and it's dealt with.
Yeah.
Snails are the real problem. A snail would do the damage of 100 slugs.
Really?
In a night.
Okay.
Oh my God. So if I get a snail on the bench, he doesn't just want to destroy one of my plants. No, he'll do 50 in a night, because he'll graze across on his way back out or something. And they are generally 2 hours after sunset.
Okay.
So that is what I recommend. Yes, people have used pine needles, off their Christmas trees and everything else, and stored them. I can understand that. They're sharp, and the fragrance from them would confuse them. Planting things like alliums around your plants, anything within the garlic range.
Yeah. But please don't
really,
be planting
really
wild garlic in your gardens, please.
No, but you could put it in a pot.
Yeah, you can put it in a pot, but for a commercial gardener, please don't plant wild garlic in your garden.
Slightly aggressive.
And it'll end up everywhere.
Slightly aggressive.
You'll never get rid of it.
No, I call myself, that sound just makes me think of ground elder. I called my front garden now Ground Elder Cottage. I've renamed it.
So we're relying exclusively on garlic water.
Garlic water and hunting.
And hunting, okay.
Yeah. I don't use slug pellets.
No.
Nematodes you can use.
Yeah.
I use nematodes for vine weevil.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much for the slugs. And they work a treat, but they are quite expensive for the general people.
Yeah, and you've got to get the weather conditions right. There's no point in just popping them on.
Not just the weather conditions. You've got to sing to them. You've got to stand on one leg. You've got to turn around, and just to get everything quite perfect.
Okay.
The water's got to be slightly tepid,
but not too hot. But
and you've got to keep it continuously stirred, or
in
they
a
all sink to the bottom.
clockwise direction.
So they are quite challenging. If you can master it and get them on well, they work fabulously, and they will live in the pot for quite a while.
I'm going to ask, because I know you've got an irrigation system I've seen in the tunnels. Have you got to the point where you're putting the garlic water into the irrigation system?
Yes!
You are?
It comes out from that all the time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you don't think I'm walking around with a watering can?
I don't know. I just wanted to check.
Take me a week. Have you seen the size of the nursery? No. So, yeah. We go through a dosatron.
Yeah.
I've got a big tub of it, and it goes in at a percentage, and I water it on that way. So for me, I have to. I literally, we've got.
So one dinner lady urn that's going into one giant water tank.
Yes,
okay.
He's brewing it up all the time. He went down the shop and he bought some garlic, and he asked our village shop. He goes, "Oh, can you get me in some garlic, some cheap stuff that's going to be nice?" Well, cheap stuff. It came in, the bulbs are this big at £1 a piece, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of garlic, and that was quite expensive. I could have got it cheaper at Aldi's.
So again, that's the next. We need to find you a little bit of ground here for you to start growing garlic.
Well, that's it. That's on the 10 acres when I win the lottery. I'm growing garlic. I'm going into that one next, I think. What works for one works for other. People use coffee grounds. They use lots of things.
But what we're saying is, don't fall into the pitfalls of the internet and everything that you read. It's not always true. The garlic water is going to be best. The picking them off is going to be far the best.
Picking and searching and checking your pots early in the year pays dividends.
Yeah.
You see a problem, get out there and deal with it. When
And
you've
not
got
when-
a glass
and
of wine or a cup of tea in your
Just
hand,
about to say,
get out there.
not after 3 gins, just after the first gin, yes. but
3
not,
gins, you
not
may
after
be
3
really merry to pick them up.
That's
It's
what I
quite
mean,
funny by then.
Not after 3 Bombay Sapphires, because your eyes are a little bit squiffy by
Get
then.
a good head torch and out you go.
So links to the hedge torches are on the website, along with the links to the garlic water. I'm feeding you commercial
I haven't
ideas
got
here.
head torches on there. Perhaps
Not
I
yet,
should
you
invest
haven't.
in that next week.
In
Hold on, let me see. What can I get in?
pop that in your notes for next week. So the first open day for the nursery, when is that?
Oh, don't ask me that.
On the
Beginning of
website.
April.
Beginning-
on the website. Check
website.
again.
Okay.
I just about remember my kids' names. You don't know. I mean, to remember dates.
But you
Come
can
on.
remember the names of
I'm
your
getting on
Dachshunds.
now. I'm menopausal. Don't challenge me too much.
Oh, okay.
No, we have open days in April, and check the website, and we're by appointment. And if things are still looking good in August or something, and we're about, I might throw in some later open days as well.
Just for giggles.
Just because I can.
Just because you can.
Because I'm here.
And you've got nothing else better to do.
No.
Well, Vicky, it's been really, really lovely to talk to you. I've had a whole lot of fun today. I hope the audience have enjoyed listening to our conversation. Please do head across to New Forest Hostas on Instagram and show the account some love. Consider looking at the website and coming down to one of your open days. And obviously
Lovely.
say hello to Vicky and it is Steve, isn't it?
Steve, yes.
At any one of the shows they might see you at this year. I'm sure that you'll put on some wonderful displays there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Today's conversation with Vicky really does just highlight why I'm enjoying these podcasts so much and getting out and visiting some extraordinary specialised businesses and speaking to some wonderful, wonderful people within the horticulture industry. I was overwhelmed by the sheer amount of hostas that they have at New Forest Hostas and Vicky and her husband's passion for the subject. So please do head over to New Forest Hostas on Instagram or consider checking out their website to look at their open days and head over to the nursery. And if you see them exhibiting at any of the horticultural shows this year, do pop along and have a look at their displays because they really are utterly extraordinary. And my offer to assist at the nursery is genuine. I would love to spend a couple of days pottering around, watering or looking after the stock there if they need any help. So Vicky, if you're listening, please do hit me up if you ever get stuck and need any help with anything. I'm only a 25 or 30 minute drive away. This week on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, I'm going to be sharing with you my personal guides for looking after and maintaining olive trees. Whether like me that you're lucky enough to have a couple of ancient olives in the garden, or whether you've bought some small ones which you're going to grow on in pots yourself, look out for my personal guide to maintaining olives, which will be posted over the next day or two. Next week, I have the pleasure in bringing you a conversation I had with Becky, who is the name behind the Instagram account So Much More. Becky is an ecologist, botanist and gardener, and is a massive source of information when it comes to everything to do with soil. So if you're new to the world of gardening, you've taken on a new gardening project, or you're just unsure that you're on the correct path when it comes to looking after your garden and its soil health, which will in turn look after its plants and the ecosystem, do make sure that you listen to next week's episode because Becky's got some wonderful things to reassure you with and talk to you about. So I will catch you next week along with Becky. And until then, happy gardening.